Islam, Mr. Elon Musk. Islam. I'm Rhonda Emerton Bay. Um, my son Imani Grace over there. Um, we are naturalized Moors, Atotson Moors that use your Twitter, now X, to communicate. And I just wanted to, I recently followed you, and I just wanted to introduce myself to you. Um, I don't know. Before I start this video, it's about 2:50 a.m. and it is November the 13th, 2023. Before I start this video, I was lying in a bed, and um, I'm a spiritual practitioner. I'm gonna try not to talk with my hands. I am a spiritual practitioner. Um, I definitely believe in the spirit world, different realms that exist, mental realms that exist, and different forms of communication that can definitely be conveyed through those realms. So, as I was lying in the bed, I'm at formerly this hotel was called Extended Stay America for many years. Since I've been domiciling here until approximately, I think it was April, they changed it to of 2023 this year to Admiral Suites. So, but the same general manager, her name is Jennifer. I used to think her name was, because so many people would call her Jen. I used to say Jen too, but then I realized her with Admiral Suites. When I send information to their printer, they have printouts. They print information. They'll print paper for you. If you need something printed, if you don't have a printer, you can send it to their email and they'll print it for you. Since it's been Admiral Suites, her email is Jennifer. So I was like, well, maybe I should call her Jennifer. It's more professional. So anyway, uh, so I was lying in the bed over there, the reason why I'm doing this video is because, um, well, before I say lying in the bed, before, um, I found out about you or who you were, approximately 2 years ago. Let me just start off there before I get to approximately, yeah, about 2 years ago. Definitely, I didn't. I was so surprised that others knew who you were, and I never knew who you were. I didn't, So, what caused me to come across your name, Mr. Elon Musk, was I don't know, something happened. If you notice on my tweets, I tweet a lot to Sheikh Dwayne Baffobe. He is a part of our Moorish nation, or nation of Moors, I like to say. Some say Moorish nation. I am a Moor, so I like to say nation of Moors now, or Moorish nation, Moorish American nation. And he is a Sheikh. And nonetheless, I experienced, because I am a spiritual practitioner. And so as a spiritual practitioner, I I'm going to say I'm relearning to be a spiritual practitioner. I haven't always considered myself a spiritual practitioner because for many years I didn't would I rarely would say the word spirit because I didn't and I still smile and laugh when I say this because it's truly amazing how my consciousness changed, and now I speak the word spirit and spiritual, and being a spiritual practitioner is in that there's so much truth. Not so much truth, but truth. I think science, spirituality, religion is all needed, especially when I start to really comprehend the definitions of each one. to demonstrate a high frequency of truth. I really do. It's not just all religion, all spiritual, all science. It's all it all three are needed to comprehend a high frequency of truth. Okay. And I'm gonna just try to articulate my thoughts the best way. The reason why I was saying I was lying in the bed. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there with that thought. See, I was lying in the bed is because as I was lying in the bed, there's only one bed in the room, and Imani Gray Bay, my son, and I sleep in the same bed. He sleeps on one end this way with his head this way, and I sleep on the other end. And that's how we slept for since we've been here. We've been here since August of 2016. So I had a spiritual experience or mental experience that has manifested on a physical plane because I definitely hear. So as a spiritual practitioner, there are certain experiences that unless you have a spiritual eye, you wouldn't be able to see or hear. Okay, that has not manifested on the physical plane. I've learned, and I say this in humility because what I'm demonstrating in humility is what I've learned through experience. But there are also experiences that manifest or not or have or able to be shown and known on the physical plane, and that's also dealing with spirit, whether it's unclean spirits or clean spirits. That's what I've learned. Okay, so getting back to so I was lying in a bed over there, and I was experiencing a lot of thoughts, forced thoughts, and then relearning how to implement a form of spirituality. I and be a spiritual practitioner. I definitely relearned the mind, mentalism, in the different realms of the mind. I'm relearning, and so in that I experience how clean, unclean, as well as clean, can communicate through thought. It's not your thoughts, even your inner voice. I've learned my inner voice or others' inner voice can be replicated. And what's interesting, Mr. Elon Musk, is that they have on the physical plane, I've come across information where technology can actually replicate your voice and it sounds just like you on the physical plane. But it's not, you didn't do it. It's not your voice. I mean, it's your voice, your accent, but you didn't do it. So someone can easily take your voice, your accent, all about you in that sound, and your frequency in the sound of your voice, replicate it, and so and say and make and I guess create a sentence and say you didn't say this. Well, we have your voice. So I found that interesting because definitely spiritually, Mr. Elon Musk, and I'm gonna try to go get to the what I'm trying is that your inner voice can be replicated. I've learned mentally where you think you are actually thinking a thought and it's not your thought. I've learned, and then so what made me this is what caused me to through these years I really started to embrace spirituality when I came to Annapolis, and it's it's interesting. I mean, really, I mean, a few years back, I was still struggling with saying spirit. I really was. That's all I can say. And when I say a few years back, I'm saying when I first met Sheik Dwayne Baffle Bay, who you might see on my Twitter page. I say husband or his wife. And so I was so my consciousness changed around 2010, 2011, where I expanded and I started to learn, get more connected with different forms of spiritual practices, and that I have never did before. No one ever in my family seemed to be connected in that manner. It was all about Christianity. Very, if there was Muslims or someone who thought they were Muslim, it was, possibly, but, and then they would probably be Nation of Islam, or, possibly, but mostly Christianity. So, or they might have even dabble into the Orthodox Islam, but but mostly it was the foundation where there was different branches, but it stemmed from the branch of Christianity, mostly in my family, in both sides, mother and father side. So different forms of spirituality wasn't really communicated to me in thoughts and learning as a child, young adult. So anyway, um, so a few years back, my consciousness changed, and I was um, lying on a couch, and I'll get to that story another time. But nonetheless, my consciousness changed. It was through a very lucid, real dream. Um, and I woke, and that's when I started to really just, I didn't, it was like all this energy, spiritual energy I was experiencing. I also felt a lot of oppression, and my morality it changed drastically, and my higher self, which that's what I realize now, that really really started to peak. That would be the term. My divine higher self was like on a high frequency, and so I felt very sorrowful of the things I did before my consciousness changed, especially as a young adult and teenager and so forth. And and then as I looked around and saw different things that were going on, and I keep looking over here or over that way, because I'm trying to keep my thoughts where I can articulate and not sway here, sway there, sway, all around with my thoughts. Um, when I when I started to see what was going on more, which I saw before my conscious change, but it just that was going on in a world on the physical plane, it just really affected me even more. That's the best way to put it. Um, and anyway, the first place I went to was Moors, and they were what the term would be Washita, which is connected to a toxin Moors. And the indigenous aboriginals um, on the land, on this landmass, which we as Moors call Northwest Mexico. So some may say they're Cherokee, Choctaw. Um, some might say they're connected to Apache, the Hopi, Navajo. Um, um, so um, Seminole. So that was the first connection I went to um, when my consciousness changed, and then after that, I expanded to learn of Moorish American National Republic and um, and other Moors, definitely other Moors, and just connection with Moors, which who I am. That's who I am, which I didn't connect that being a Moor, because I believe it or not, Mr. Sheik, excuse me, Mr. Elon Musk, I didn't know anything about Moorish history. Um, and it's so interesting, Mr. Elon Musk, and because I got to be careful, because once again I hear some noise in the hallway, and you might just made a deep breath. And sometimes that happened, but I didn't. Once again, I can get to that another time. But there's some noise in the highway here, so that it sounds like someone might be walking back and forth um, in front of our door. That happens a lot when I start to record or speak about spirituality here at this hotel. Anyway, so within that, an engagement spiritually, mentally can happen, which caused me to speak a word that was not my intention to do. So anyway, Mr. Elon Musk. So I didn't know the history of Moors, or that I am a Moor. And when my consciousness changed and I started to expand, and I was like at these shops, I call them magic shops now to just keep it very basic in terms, but they sold crystals and magic books and astrology and tarot cards. I mean, occult. You know, I was just there all the time. Never even thought of going any place like that, or even think that places like that existed. I searched them out because of the connection with the Washington Moors. And then and I was like, you know, there buying when I could as much as possible. Oh, burning incense and herbs. Oh my goodness, I was just burning, burning, burning herbs. Um, and I realized I connect now because I was among a world of unclean that consists of extremely unclean spirits. Because even then, I still didn't see. I didn't know what I was among. I didn't. I had no idea, Mr. Elon Musk. I really didn't. This is during 2010, 2011, 2012. I met Sheik Wayne Bafube approximately when we first communicated right before, a little bit before I moved to North Carolina. Again, I'm originally from North Carolina. I was born in Durham. Um, I'm I would say you would call, some would say she's a country girl. I spent a lot of times in the woods. And my grandmother, she on my father's side, she grew a lot of her food. She had approximately, I say approximately because I remember there was a story about one child, but anyway, 18 children, 18, and how her and my grandfather was able to sustain was through farming. Um, and when I say as a child, I would go there in the summertime. I loved it. I loved it there. My sister, I have a younger sister. She could only stay there a few weeks because of the heat, and she had problems with her skin and other medical conditions or disease, medical disease. But me, I didn't. So I was out there with my grandmother. Whenever she went out there, she had a nice. When I was young, it looked pretty big, nice size farm. You know, where there was, they were picking up potatoes, pine potatoes. She had a hog pen. She had a grapevine. She had pecan tree. She cucumber. Was it cucumber? No, tomatoes. Tomato vines growing. Berries growing. This is wild. Or in her yard around. Um, um, she watermelon. I remember going to get the watermelon, plucking to see if the watermelon was ripe. We call it. We used to call it shrugging corn. So we peeled the corn and we would shrug it, and that's how we got our corn. So she grew corn, and so that's the word that you would use in the country. So anyway. And then once again, she had a hog pen, and I was told before I was born they used to have much, much more. Um, um, they had a She had a smokehouse. Um, so anyway, I spent a lot of time when I was when I would go there in the summertime. I would be there for weeks or months, a couple of months, so through the summer. I loved every minute of it. So. And then we'll go back to be with my father when because at the time I was living with my father, and he lived in the country too, but compared to where my grandmother lived, where he lived was considered city. And trust me, if you was to go there during those times, you many that were from possibly Baltimore or New York, these are cities, would say Hillsborough, North Carolina was country, very, very country. But compared to where my grandmother lived, where there was no McDonald's, no Kentucky Fried Chicken, no fast food, and there was I mean, many you would have to. I remember it took a little while to get to the grocery store, so so what I remember going with my grandmother to different homes, different neighbors' houses to get eggs, and I guess they either sold the eggs or they trade the eggs or different other things. But I remember going with her to do that, and and sometimes we definitely went to the grocery store, but I don't remember the grocery store being right down the street. No, I remember it took a little while to get there. So anyway, I definitely don't remember seeing any fast food restaurants. I don't remember ever seeing fast food restaurants. I'm not saying that they weren't there somewhere, but I don't remember seeing any fast food restaurants. Or but Hillsborough, North Carolina, where my father had us domiciling, there was woods all around our home. So and so there was more woods that I played in, and I enjoyed, and that I was outside all the time with me and my cousins would come and visit. So well, get down to a long story short, I grew up in a world of um, where seeing trees and animals and bugs and snakes and rabbit, it was normal for me. Okay, so nonetheless, but still, the word spiritual, spirits, was not talked about around me. So, what I find very interesting was that when I started to read about being a Moor and or some form of a history as Moors, when my consciousness changed around 2011, I mean 2010, but through up until um, right before I met Sheikh Dwayne Bafabé. I met him right before he get finished. I thought moved to North Carolina. Uh, let's see. Um, it was I was living in Lithonia, and I think before I moved to Lithonia, I might have. I was on when my conscience changed. I remember maybe possibly seeing a picture of him while I was in Kennesaw, Georgia. Lithonia is in Georgia. We moved. My father moved us to Georgia around when I was about 12, or yeah, I think about 12 years old, approximately. So, so I might have came across his picture, but it must I'm thinking possibly online, because with the computer, but I'm not sure. But Lithonia, I did see because I was at that time in Lithonia, I was trying to implement being a Moor, and I learned the different ways to do so. And so I was definitely searching. I was trying to get papers filed. So is to alert government agencies I am a Moor, and naturalized. I want to be. At the time, I didn't use the word naturalized or even spoke the word naturalized, but definitely I'm a Moor. And so it was around. So I did come across um, him, his page in Lithonia, Georgia. Then I moved to North Carolina, and definitely I would glance back and forth a little bit, and some would be like, I found him very attractive, but it's like, moving forward. But then as I when I went to North Carolina, that's when the communication of Sheikh Dwayne Bafabé and I started. This was in 2013. So I moved to North Carolina again, back to North Carolina in March of 2013, and that's when the communication between Sheikh Dwayne Bafabé and I started. And around April or May, pretty much around April, May. And he is a spiritual sheik, a spiritual medium, as he would say. And so we were able to communicate. I started to communicate more intense, approximately around June, July. And then the corresponding with my Moorish American Nation and family. Other sheets I realized were able to also communicate on a spiritual mental level. But once again, Mr. Elon Musk, I still was having a challenge with comprehending spirituality and the spirit world. So what I was experiencing, I knew I was experiencing with Sheikh Dwayne Baffobe and other Moors in my nation of Moors, but I didn't know. I would not. I was very unsure how to communicate and articulate what I was experiencing, but I knew it was real. So on the physical plane, Sheikh Dwayne Baffobe and I, we have never met. Now, and so this is when I show different video, like a video of him having my Twitter page or video on his Twitter page and stuff like that. That would be for me demonstrating how spirit, the mentalism, the spiritual plane, it can be demonstrated on the physical plane. Okay, because if you never met someone, why would you put their video on your Twitter page? So, and why would there? Because our National Grand Sheik, Joel Bratton Day, I mean, he's a very rational, educated. I mean, he's the National Grand Sheik, so of a nation of Moors. So, where the communicate, and he's a sheik. So the sheiks are coming together. When I met Sheikh Dwayne Baffobe, he was a deputy sheik. He wasn't a sheik, but he progressed to be a sheik through what we consider obligation. I would say marriage and then obligation. When we in the sacred mental growth, we did. So the National Grand Sheik is definitely I would say a balance. He has to be because he's a Grand Sheik of a nation. So when we communicated, another form of demonstrating how the mental plane and the spiritual plane can be manifest on the physical plane is through communication through um, of what you experience on the physical plane, what or what you experience on the mental plane on the physical plane. So so that's another. So I would talk. So I would definitely speak to the National Grand Sheik, even when I went to New York about Sheikh Dwayne Baffobe, and the different and the experiences mentally and spiritually I was experiencing. But still, I was having. It was a challenge to say the word spirit for me because I still was learning. So I would definitely do it very quick, not get to the point, because it was my first. Oops. Hold on, it's time for Imani to get up. Imani, Imani, Imani. The alarm just went off. Now it's time for you to get up. So it's 3:15 a.m. So anyway, the reason why I'm telling you this is because to give you some history of why this Moor is on Twitter saying she is Sheikh Dwayne Baffobe's wife. So I was when I was in North Carolina, I was in I experienced mentalism, demonstrating being able to expand my consciousness or my energy field on the mental plane. I was there doing that a lot in North Carolina when I met Sheikh Dwayne Baffobe, and that's how I communicated. And then when I would listen to the conference call, Moorish American National Republic conference call, he would speak and use words and that was spoken in the mental plane that would correspond with what I experienced in other Moors too. So I don't, because he was my first experience in the sacred mental growth, I learned that possibly to speak openly about it might not be what they want to do. So I would just grasp on to any word they say, anything they would say, to clarify that, what I experienced was true. So, um, um, so anyway, okay. So now it's at 30 minutes. So I don't. I might have to pause. I don't want to upload the video, so I'll pause right here and I'll continue. This is part one, and it is Mr. Elon Musk. It is November the 13th, 2023.